Hello folks, welcome to SSGTV South Sudan Global. Subscribe as we will be uploading informative videos. South Sudan State of Affairs. 3 things that emboldens President Kiir to appoint his daughter to a docket that oversees country's wealth. President Salva Kiir Mayardit has nominated his first daughter, Adut Salva Kiir Mayardit, formerly married to an Ethiopian national, as a presidential envoy for special projects or programs, a position previously held by current Vice President for Economic Cluster, Dr. Benjamin Bol Mel. This body is responsible for managing the country's wealth. It is alleged that this role contributed to Dr. Benjamin Bol Mel's rapid accumulation of wealth. What does the surge in President Kiir's political activities signify at this juncture? President Kiir has lately accelerated systemic change initiatives within his administration. At first, observers thought President Kiir was willing to embrace generational change. Nevertheless, a closer examination afforded Kiir time, since all matters ultimately become self-explanatory. Concealed intentions become obvious to the public. This is now manifested. Although Kiir's actions caught many off guard, we, and a select few South Sudanese who share our perspective, knew that such politically driven decisions based on nepotism were destined to happen, except that the timing had not yet ripened. The appointment of his daughter as an envoy for special programs or projects by President Kiir reveals his personal interests or ambitions with the South Sudan government as his vessel to make them come true. What this means are 3 things, and we will break them down as briefly as possible. Firstly, it means that President Kiir is substituting the entire political system of South Sudan with loyalists who are nothing short of his children, siblings, in-laws, cousins, allies, etc. In summary, he is replacing the entire system based on nepotism, indicating that South Sudan is state-captured. Why do this? Probably, he is developing a retirement strategy so that when he retires soon, he would have established a loyal system that would protect him and his assets for the rest of his remaining life. Secondly, the most recent political maneuvers executed by President Kiir seem carefully designed to safeguard and extend his hold on the reins of power, positioning him to govern for at least another decade and a half, as if he is drafting a personal roadmap modeled on the journeys of his counterparts, President Museveni, President Biya, and President Obiang, each of whom has set his own benchmark in longevity on the African continent. Thirdly, Adut's appointment hints at an imminent realignment. One plausible outcome being that Dr. Benjamin Bol Mel steps into official power next, a scenario reportedly favored by external powers, notably Ugandan military contingents. President Kiir is nearing the midpoint in his implementation of a political system that may have far-reaching negative consequences for the people of South Sudan. Unlike in previous years, Kiir's current political plan to maintain power for the next several decades no longer prioritizes tribal or regional considerations. And although this may have been partially true for a select few politicians he trusted in the past, it is no longer the case. This is due to his understanding that dissociating himself from his regional peers, particularly those from Bahr el Ghazal, is the only factor that will enable him to persist for the remaining periods. He has effectively set up a political system where he employs Republican decrees to screen out individuals not loyal to him, spanning from senior officers in the SSPDF to the judiciary, executive, legislature, and even support staff such as cooks and gatemen. There are clear signs. This is why he cannot even trust our national army of South Sudan. It's the reason he has resorted to foreign forces. How do you know that? He is paying foreign forces a day rate with a significant amount of money and allowing the army to decline or die natural death. This is risky for South Sudanese and their hard-earned country. The presence of the Uganda army has seemingly emboldened President Kiir to appoint his daughter Adut to a critical role overseeing the country's resources and revenues with unchecked powers over resources. Questions? What is really the meaning of this portfolio given to Adut? And how come that such created position does not fall under the Ministry of Finance, being given a docket that appears much like a ministry? Anyways, it is now up to the South Sudanese to decide whether to hold Kiir accountable or continue to praise him, as has been the customary practice amidst the routine changes in his government, as South Sudanese could be rendered weaker and weaker each passing day. Please remember to subscribe to this video. You will get notified each time we have uploaded new informative video.